So Little Brothers Friends of the Elderly, we more locally go by LBFE. Our mission is to relieve isolation and loneliness among older adults. We've been here in Boston for 43 years, but the organization runs a little bit deeper than that. We actually started in Paris in 1946, and it was our founder, Armand Marquise, his response after World War II. A lot of young people died in the war, and there weren't people taking care of older adults. So he and his friends, they put their wealth into this ideal, and they move into the areas of Paris where older adults were living. They celebrate the holidays together and meals, and they become friends and family, and they start to refer themselves as the Little Brothers of the Elderly, which is where the name comes from. I like to tell that story because on the surface level, it's a little bit of a confusing name, but it's an honor to our founder. And from there, the mission grew, and it went across Europe, and in 59, we came to the U.S., and the Chicago chapter was the first chapter. And there are 5 chapters across the U.S. Currently. We're in Canada and Mexico and several countries throughout Europe. And each chapter is completely independent. So what we do in Boston is different than what happens in Chicago, is different than what happens in Paris. But the mission is the same, and we're part of this bigger movement to end isolation and loneliness.
That's beautiful. I love how this man was able to create this community, and it extended internationally at this point. And as executive director, I'd love to know, how did you first get involved with LBFE, and what do you find most rewarding about your work there?
Oh, I'd love to talk about this. Ever since I was a teenager, I knew that I wanted to work with older adults. Some people are kid people, and they always know that they want to be a teacher or work with kids. For me, it was always older adults. When I was a kid, I didn't even really get along with kids when I was their age, but I loved being with my grandmother and my great aunt and great uncle, playing cards together. My meme, she lived kind of in the middle of the family. My 2 uncles were on the other side of her. Mom was across the street. My sister now lives next door. So meme was at the center of our family. And I can tell you the moment I decided that I wanted to spend my life with older adults was we were playing cards, and she stopped shuffling, and she looks at me and she goes, "You're my favorite pal." And that was it. That was the moment. I was like, I just want to do this forever. So when I went to school, I studied gerontology, and I have an MBA in healthcare management. And I started my career in case management. Wasn't a great fit for me. From there, I took a sidestep, and I joined the Peace Corps for a while. But when I came home and I wanted to go back to my first love of older adults, and I found LBFE, I started as the volunteer coordinator. So it brought together my love of volunteerism and service along with older adults. So it was really, really a perfect fit. And I'm so honored to, nearly 10 years later, to be leading this organization and being a part of this big mission. And for the second part, I think what I love about this work is the communities that we build, and bringing older and younger people together. Because for me personally, that was a huge part of my upbringing and how I got to where I am today. And I think there's so much for each generation to offer each other, and there's just not enough opportunity for folks to meet.
That's great. And then I love how you really grew with the organization. So with LBFE, what programs do you offer, and who are the seniors that you provide these programs for?
We have 3 major programs. We have our City Sites program, which is social. So that's in affordable and public housing. And then we work with students from service learning programs, primarily from Northeastern and Boston College. And on a weekly basis, the younger and older participants get together in the community rooms of the senior housing building and just spend time together. And it's a platform to build friendships, both intergenerational friendships and with neighbors. And the activities are really determined by the folks in the program. So we have some programs that are arts and crafts base. We have the north end. There's some folks that like to play chess, so there's some chess playing at the north end. I visited some programs this summer and played a lot of cribbage, which was the game I played with my grandmother, so that was really special for me. Others, there's conversation circles and language exchange. We work with a lot of language learners and international students, as well as older adults whose first language is not English. So a little bit of everything with our City Sites program. Our second program is Digital Dividends, and that was really born from the pandemic when we all saw that the digital divide, especially among older adults, is such a pressing issue. So our Digital Dividends program is in public senior housing, and we have classes of 10 to 15 older adults, and they're given a Chromebook that they're able to keep, and we get the Chromebooks that have the touchpad capability. So a lot of our participants are Chinese American, and so they can write the Chinese characters because the keyboard we found doesn't really work that great. And so they get to keep the Chromebook. We provide hotspot with unlimited data plans for the duration of the program. And students come in, again, on a weekly basis, and they do some classroom teaching, some one-on-one work, and really just answering any questions that folks might have on how to use their devices, what they can do with the internet, how they can connect with other people through it. And that's been really popular. That launched last October, and we're going into our second year, and we're expanding a bit.
Awesome.
And then our third program is Creative Connections, which is the same model. It's in public senior housing buildings, and we have local artists come in and do 6 to 8 week arts classes. So we just wrapped up a painting class in September, and in the fall we have some dance and movement, and I think also a drum circle class that'll be starting. So a lot of exciting things. We're really trying to mirror the social and educational and artistic opportunities that folks might find in market rate senior housing.
That's great. And as you mentioned, the college students, they play a large role in the organization, especially building that intergenerational component. Can you talk a little bit more about how these college students are being impacted by the work that they're doing at LBFE?
Yeah, so I mentioned most of our students come from Northeastern and Boston College. We work with a few other schools on a smaller level, but really the benefits that the younger folks in our programs have are the same as for the older folks. In 2019, Cigna did a loneliness study and found that Gen Z is actually self-reported the loneliest generation. So we're bringing together two generations that really have this profound need for human connection, face-to-face human connection, and to find and build communities. So what we're seeing for both the younger and the older people is decreased isolation and loneliness, increased self-esteem and feeling of worth, a greater understanding of issues facing the other generation, so more compassion and understanding of another age group, increased trust across the ages, and an increased sense of community.
So for individuals who want to support the work happening at LBFE, how can they do so?
Thank you for asking. The best thing that folks can do is we're a nonprofit. We are funded through individual contributions and foundations. So a financial gift is appreciated and can be given through our website, lbfeboston.org. We also accept in-kind donations, gift cards, art supplies are always helpful. And we also have some committees. So if people are interested in volunteering on our committees, which is indirect service, you can reach out to me. My email's on our website. And again, that's lbfeboston.org.
All right, wonderful. Nikki Schultz, Executive Director of LBFE. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. Great being here.